Some big news with the Houston Texans. Bobby Slowick, the offensive coordinator, speaks after the alleged C.J. Stroud call-out in his rough week, plus Will Levis and the Tennessee Titans. They come up short, but is it time to take them serious? Let's go inside the locker room live.
Yeah. It's the locker room on YouTube. You know what it is. Let's get it. Hey, locker room. Yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk. Yeah, you know what we about to do. Localize every angle's what we really do. We the source. We the pulse of the city too. Landlocked.
Is it time to take Will Levis and the Tennessee Titans serious? It is the locker room, number one source for Texans daily digital content. I'm Landry Locker. You can hear me Monday through Friday, 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 610. Blake Cashman joining the radio show tomorrow. Really good conversation with Blake Cashman. We got him right off the practice field. Practice ended at about 1:50. We were supposed to have him on today. They said we could have him for 5 minutes. Decided to ask them to call at 2 so that we could have more time with him and got to know him pretty well. You don't want to miss that interview. We'll play that tomorrow in the 11 o'clock hour. Appreciate everyone for coming through. It is the locker room, number one source for Texans daily digital content. Subscribe, like, right along. This is the NFL through the eyes of the Houston Texans POV. And there was some big news today with the Texans. Let's start with Laramie Tunsil. Laramie Tunsil has returned to practice. So Veterans Day off, it looks like it was for Laramie Tunsil. Laramie Tunsil, the Texans are 2-1 without him. They're 1-3 with him. That's just kind of a coincidence. You want Laramie Tunsil on the field, but he is dealing with that knee injury. And quite frankly, it's kind of hard to predict what Laramie Tunsil is and is not going to do. Only 3 players don't practice this week today for the Texans. You had Robert Woods, Brevin Jordan, and Damien Pierce, which brings us to the intriguing news for the Houston Texans, Damien Pierce. Damien Pierce misses practice for the second day. He's dealing with an ankle. I'll say this about Damien Pierce. I know we've talked a lot about Damien Pierce, system fit, overrated, underrated, been a pretty polarizing topic. First of all, I love Damien Pierce, the character. I actually like Damien Pierce, the player. Don't love Damien Pierce as like a bell cow back. But if Damien Pierce is not playing, he's hurt. Like this is not a guy who's going to rest if he's not completely hurt. I remember last year when Damien Pierce got hurt, there was a point where he was trying to get the ankle taped when they had nothing to play for. So Damien Pierce, if he's hurt, he is significantly hurt. And I find myself actually kind of intrigued by this because I want to see how Damien Pierce, the offense, the run game looks without Damien Pierce. How does Damien Pierce look on the sidelines, and what does the workload look like with the backs? Does this mean Devin Singletary becomes the guy who gets a large majority? Do we get to see more Mike Boone? I think this is going to be something that is I actually want to see it. Now, I for better or worse, I want to see it. There's a chance we watch this and we just say, okay, Damien Pierce was not the issue. But I've been asking for more Mike Boone. I've been asking for more Singletary. So I actually want to see this. I want to see what this looks like. Now, and I don't think that the impact is going to be massive. I don't think it's going to be overly significant. Now, I don't think Devin Singletary is like an elite pass blocker, but I don't think Damien Pierce is either. I think he's willing. I think he's able, but I don't think it's one of those situations where a guy's not running the ball effectively, but he's clearly missed in pass protection. Do I think Devin Singletary is Arian Foster 2.0? No, I do not. But I do want to see what this backfield looks like without Damien Pierce. And it looks like we probably will see that and get a look at it. And who knows? Maybe the big Damien Pierce fans will get the last laugh. But I am very, very interested about this because the biggest debate that we've had all year about the run game has been, what's up with Damien Pierce? Is it just about the pass block, the run blocking? Is it a situation where the run blocking's bad? It is. But is that everything? What would it look like with Singletary and Mike Boone? We might get a look at that, and that debate is going to be front and center. And you guys know about the pissing matches that go on social media during games. That's going to be the biggest pissing match, in-game pissing match. People who want to see less Damien Pierce, anytime something good happens, they're going to talk crap. If they don't run well, there's going to be that. So the undercard pissing matches on Sunday when the Texans take on the Buccaneers, that's going to be what we get. It is the Locker Room, #1 source for Texans daily digital content. I'm Landry Locker. You can hear me Monday through Friday, 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 610 and the Odyssey app. Next question I have from a localized point of view, and we just watched the Tennessee Titans fall to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Is it time to take Will Levis serious? The reality of the situation is if Will Levis completes that touchdown at the end, we're probably talking about, I don't know what the national narrative would have been or what the reaction would have been, but he's the toast of the NFL. And people are starting to talk about how did this guy fall to the second round? Some people might already be talking about that. I say this admitting that I didn't take Will Levis serious in the draft process. I never liked Will Levis. I never wanted the Texans to touch Will Levis. I was not a fan of Will Levis. It seems like a lot of teams, specifically some ones that needed quarterbacks, were not fans of Will Levis either. With that said, I can at least admit that what we've seen from Will Levis at least deserves our attention in the short term and perhaps in the long term. Because Will Levis, in a matter of 10 plus days, has looked like a somewhat effective NFL quarterback and a guy who has a lot of talent and a lot of skills. So I think even the Will Levis pessimist like myself can admit that Will Levis at least deserves our attention. Now, I will also say this. At the end of that fourth quarter, if you watch the game, there were 2 passes that he threw that should have been interceptions, and then he capped it off with an interception at the end, in which he was trying to force it into the end zone. So say what you want about Will Levis. I do think at the very least, we do need to, if I were a Tennessee Titans fan, and if there are Tennessee Titans fans in here, old Oilers fans, welcome. Appreciate you for coming through. Always love when opposing teams come through. I don't follow your team 24/7. I don't watch every snap as close as y'all do. I know that Ryan Tannehill is trying to work his way back. As someone who covers the Texans on a daily basis, talks about the Texans, probably about 40% of my dialogue on a daily basis between the radio show and this. It seems like if I were a Titans fan, I would want Will Levis to be the starting quarterback for the remainder of the season. Like I would want Mike Vrabel. He's a little bit of a hardo, though. We know him very well here. I would want him to go up to the podium and say, we're rolling with Will Levis for the remainder or for now. I wouldn't say for the remainder of the season. We're rolling with Will Levis for now, and Ryan is going to be his backup. That's what I would do. Maybe I'm missing something, and maybe Tennessee Titans fans think different, but if I were a Tennessee Titans fan, that's what I would think. And as a Texans fan who's kind of, and someone who covers the squad, someone who looks at is watching a young quarterback right now and growing and developing, given the fact that it seems inevitable that Ryan Tannehill is going to be gone this year. If I were a Titans fan, I'd actually be pretty geeked up to at least get a look at a young quarterback that looks like he might be able to be something, for better or worse. And I think you got to find that out this year, and you got to get him the experience. And I don't know how much of a drop-off there is between him and Tannehill at this point. Titans fans, put it in the comments. Help me out. Educate me on this. That just seems like how I would look at it. But we will see what exactly Will Levis looks like. And if they put Ryan Tannehill back in, I think that would be a big mistake for them in the long term, perhaps in the short term. I want to give some flowers to Ryan Tannehill, though. Like, as someone who's covered the AFC South for a long time, I know that Ryan Tannehill is kind of a polarizing guy, and I know quarterback is a polarizing position. And I'm not going to sit here and say that Ryan Tannehill is a franchise quarterback. I'm not going to sit here and say that Ryan Tannehill is awesome. He can only get you so far, but I think he got Tennessee as far as he could possibly get them. And I think Ryan Tannehill almost became like in a good way, a victim. I use that word loosely, but a victim of his own overachieving. Like when they brought him from Miami, no one expected him to go to an AFC title game. No one expected him to do what he did. No one expected him to earn another contract. No one expected him to win the division titles. Obviously, Derrick Henry's the straw that stirs the drink. But I do think Ryan Tannehill deserves a lot of credit for doing what he did when his career was kind of on the brink in Miami and developing himself into a good second, third tier quarterback. I'm not saying that condescending. I'm saying that like out of respect. I think Ryan Tannehill deserves credit for doing that. Now, did they maybe give him a bad contract? Did they maybe keep him around too long? Yes, absolutely, they did. They probably would have won the division last year with him, but I want to give Ryan Tannehill all the credit in the world. And Will Levis definitely has my attention for sure. And I think he should have most people's attention at the very least. Very, very interesting what's going on with Will Levis. 22 of 39 today, 262 yards, the INT in Tennessee's loss to Pittsburgh. And here's the other thing about it. It would have been better for the Texans for Tennessee to win. I mean, that was a weird game to watch because, yes, Tennessee's in the division, but you still get to play them twice. And Pittsburgh is a game up of you in the playoff race. So if Pittsburgh would have fallen to 4-4 and you're able to get this dub against Tampa Bay, which I think is going to be a tough one, then you're tied with Pittsburgh. You also this week, it could have been an excellent week. Cincinnati's in a game against Buffalo where if Buffalo is able to beat them, Cincinnati falls down to 4-4. And then you have the Chargers versus the Jets. If the Chargers are able to win, this is where it gets real wild. The Chargers improve to 4-4 and the Jets fall to 4-4. So the Texans are trying to get to 4-4. They could have a lot of company this week. Could have had Pittsburgh, but the Steelers were able to edge out Will Levis, Will Levis and the Tennessee Titans. Let's hear from Bobby Slowick, offensive coordinator for the Houston Texans. Bobby Slowick, he spoke today. I'm a fan of Bobby Slowick. I like Bobby Slowick. I don't know that Bobby Slowick has a ton to work with. I do look at the charts that have been going around and all these numbers that Texans folks are throwing out there. And I find myself, I don't want to say fascinated, but I find it interesting that the tendencies are all of a sudden in question because of the loss to Carolina. But I do think there are some things that Bobby Slowick needs to work on. And I look forward to hearing from the man himself. This is the first I've heard it, so I'm hearing it with you. And we'll react, get the comments in. Be sure to subscribe and like the video. Let's hear from Bobby Slowick here in the locker room.
This is great. Nobody's smiling, though. Can we get some smiles? You know, well, usually I get some smiles. You put pressure on me. Yeah, snuck up on you. Sarge, got to keep that head on a swivel, man. Yeah, I'll wait. It's no problem.
All right, go ahead. I mean, he's loose, isn't he?
Wednesday, he emphasized he'd like to try to get some more explosive plays, and that's everybody's goal. What do you think it'll take to get that done?
Yeah, I mean, every week we're striving for explosive plays. We've done a pretty good job of it most of the year. I'd say we struggled early on, just taking advantage of some explosive opportunities. And then really the last 2 games, and I mainly would say the second half in New Orleans and then last week for sure. We had some opportunities there that we just didn't finish. We didn't really quite, take advantage of. We had some deep balls there that we missed that were explosive ops. We had, I think, 4 batted or tipped balls. One of which wasn't explosive, and then there were some others that we felt pretty good about the looks we were throwing into, and they knocked them down, which makes it when you can't take advantage of the looks you want, that's going to limit the amount of chunk plays you have.
He does seem loose. I think this is an interesting observation from Johnny Lambert. Bobby Slowick does seem pretty loose. I guess that's good, right? Not the best week for him, so he does seem pretty loose. Let's hear more from Bobby Slowick here in the locker room. Appreciate everyone for coming through.
Yeah, I'd say it's always both, but like when you throw 2 balls down the field and you feel good about the look and we're confident about the look, and we don't connect on them, that's going to hurt when you have the premier looks on those. And then, like I said, the batted balls and just there were some protection issues a couple times here and there. Like we had some opportunities. The opportunities are really always there in the game, and it's just a matter of everyone going out and playing clean football, and that for us, I would say as a whole, and branching off into some other stuff, but as a whole offense and probably as a Texan team, we just got to play clean football, and we didn't last game.
Now, the clean football, I think there's 2 plays that stick out with Bobby Slowick. You're watching Bobby Slowick here in the locker room. Number 1, the Andrew Beck fumble. Can't have that. There's no margin for error for the Texans. And number 2, and we didn't talk about this as much, CJ Stroud missing Nico Collins. I bitched a lot about Tank Dell being in the backfield and all the motion crap. That doesn't look as stupid as when you run that formation and CJ hits Nico Collins when he's wide open and probably would have walked into the end zone. So I think that's what Bobby's saying. I think people probably want a little bit more quantity when it comes to the shots, but that's what he means by clean football. Here's more from Bobby.
Why is having explosive plays important for a team?
It's really hard to continually move the chains all the way down the field. Chunk plays, I think it's 16. What's categorized as an explosive play, there's an old stat that's out there that I can't get the exact number on, but I mean your touchdown percentage when you get an explosive run or pass just shoots up. It's because you don't have to just constantly strain to move the sticks, convert a 3rd and 4, convert a 3rd and 6. Like that helps. It cleans up the process, and there's times where we can string together drives. And there's nothing more deflating for a defense and kind of liberating for an offense. And when you can have a 16, 17, 18 play drive, like that's one of the best feelings there is. But it's hard to do that consistently. And it's hard to do that consistently with every offensive team, So being able to take advantage of the explosive ops is really it's going to be a huge part of every game we're in.
What do you think has been the biggest issue for you guys like the last 3 games in terms of 3rd down? You guys covered it about 36%.
DJ's talking about that middle. Still ain't seen that data though.
Aside from last game, the previous 2 games before that, I'd say we weren't quite clean. I'll reference back to that. We just weren't quite playing clean 3rd down football in those 2 games. I think we were cleaner on 1st, 2nd down in those, but not so much 3rd down. Weren't on the same page as far as receivers, routes. There was, again, just the protections, alignments, formation, like the whole deal. Just it wasn't as clean as it needed to be. I would say last week we were definitely cleaner. And I think we were about 41, 42% on 3rd down. And really we felt we could have been better, but I think we had I know we had the first 3rd down was batted down. We felt good about that look. I think there was one other look that was batted down. Like we felt like we had the opportunities, and a couple of them we just didn't finish on.
You said after the game, when you all was able to watch the film, you and CJ, what did you see on film, and what is the communication like between you two, especially when you have a player like CJ with his skill set, what you see him do in college, want to be able to make those explosive plays, want to go down the field a lot, and then have to also tell them where you have to check it out sometime or go with the safer play.
Yeah, I mean, it's always a balance, right? But anytime, especially with him, like anytime we got a chance to be aggressive, anytime we got a chance to throw to open space to our receivers, we want to put him in that position as much as possible. Like we feel that great about what he can do, how talented he is, how he throws the ball and where he puts it, really all over the field, you know. Now, getting to the point when we recognize when is the right look and when is not, and how efficient you can kind of just click through that across the field, I think that's an endless process for every quarterback, and particularly a young quarterback, you know. So a lot of communication on game day with me and him is more so, you know, hey, this is what's coming up, this is what we're feeling. Next time we go out on the field, this is what happened on maybe one or two previous plays, so we got to clean this part up just in case it happens again. Here's some issues. How do we handle when the D-line stops rushing, starts trying to bat our balls down? What are we doing up front to change that? Like, it's just in-game adjustment stuff. And then outside of that, you kind of give them a heads up what to look forward to on the next drive so we can start to visualize.
How have you been able
My head hurts after that one. Bobby Slowick here in the locker room.
to manage in-game adjustments, you know, kind of balancing what's working, what you're seeing? And we practiced this, but maybe it's not right, you know, the way the game just kind of flowed. How do you feel like you've been able to manage in-game, changing things around with what you want to do on offense?
I would say as a staff, we've done that really well. You know, it happens in every game where you come out and at some point, even if you get a defensive structure that you put a play in for, you really like, whether it's a run or a pass, you know, maybe the backside four eyes just playing different than he had been on tape previously, and that can completely scrap 2 or 3 plays. You know, like they're not as good now. This is too tough on a combination of, like, we're in constant communication after every series with the players, with the coaches. Really, everybody gets on the same page pretty quick down there as far as what we want to do, where we want to attack, and how we want to adjust.
I mean, when you look at Tampa Bay and Eagles saying no blitz, almost anyone that you bring Winfield and also do you feel like you have to kind of prepare for the unpredictable just because of their propensity to blitz and then follow up?
Yeah, I'd say, you know, I feel like I've gone against Todd Bowles now. This will be the 3rd or 4th time since I've been an offensive coach in charge of game planning, and he's definitely one of the tougher play callers to go against, you know, and it's everything you hit on. Everybody has a blitz, everybody has a pressure. There's 4-man rush, there's 3-man rush, there's multiple looks in the run game. Like there's just a lot that he does that just demands on offense that, you know, and it ties into what we want to do anyway, because it's been really what's been holding us back the last couple of weeks. We need to find a way to make sure this is clean. It's clear cut, it's clean. There's no ifs, ands, ors. You know, we're out there, we're playing ball, we're playing fast, and whatever happens, whatever structure they showed, we can react and we can go play efficiently and just play clean football. Because when we play clean football, we feel like we're confident in what we're doing. And when we've held ourselves back.
He's talking a lot about clean football. Like, what does he mean by clean football? Is he talking about the blocking? Is he talking about what does he mean by clean football? That's what I would want to know. Like, what needs to be clean is what I would love to know.
Usually that's when we've really struggled.
Hey, Coach, what have you seen from John Mechie and Xavier Hutchinson so far this
Cody
season?
Davis loves asking John Mechie questions. Shout out to Cody.
Snaps throughout the game.
Yeah, I'd say that's kind of always in flux. I feel like I answered a similar question last week. Like we got a group of guys at receivers, really at tight end, at running back. We feel good about really all different skill sets that they have. They all do particular things very well. And we try to make sure that we get them on the field to take advantage of what those skills are. And now how many snaps they get week in, week out can fluctuate based on our game plan, based on what we're seeing from the defense, and really what plays we're going to. You know, like we kind of go into the game thinking certain plays are for certain people, and they may or may not get called. You know, now as we go forward through this year, we do want to get Mechie out on the field more, you know, like Hutchie. It's a combination right there. Hutch, he really, I mean, he plays with his hair on fire. He's enjoyable to have on game day. It's all gas all the time, full speed, which, I mean, we just love having him out there. And then Mech brings a mentality. Mechie's very physical. He wants to mix it up. He's aggressive in the run game and the pass game. Like he wants to be in it, you know, and we want to take advantage of both those aspects of both those players, and then we got to balance that out with the other crew we have there at receiver.
Two more. Teams have kind of picked up on you guys' tendencies. How much will it be on, and what kind of like that balance with it to like how much
much do we counter what teams are starting to attack us with? Because week 5, 6, and 8, you guys have been hit with cover 1 and quarters, the second most in the NFL during that 3-week stretch. So what kind of, like, how much of a counter do you have to come up with to counter that? Or is it just we're going to continue to do what we do and hope that, you know, our guys are just going to be their guys?
There's definitely always a balance. I would say the coverages you just mentioned are what those defenses play. Like, that's what they do, you know? Like, there was nothing Carolina did that wasn't already on tape. That's what they do. And I wouldn't say they overly adjusted to much that we do, aside from there were some times where they just straight up stopped rushing and they tried to watch our quarterback and bat the ball down, probably because of how efficient he is when he gets it out, and he gets it out on time and pretty accurately. And that really, to me, would be the biggest thing I saw that I feel like I would call a big adjustment from what they've already put out there. But it's definitely like, we know what we're good at, and we know when our big plays come, and we know when the defense sees when our big plays come, and you have to have enough offsets of that to take advantage and just make them not always worried about that thing you're good at, so that you can get back to doing it. And I think that's always the challenge, you know, like it was a challenge in San Francisco. It's a challenge here. I think it's a challenge for every offense. And we're going through that. You know, we've had some offsets. Some of them, like I've mentioned already, we didn't take advantage of. You know, we missed the throws, we missed the ops, and some of them we have. You know, so it's always a balance. We just, again, I reference back to, like, if we play clean football, and just assignment-wise, technique-wise, fundamental-wise, scheme-wise, I'll include that in there in clean football. We feel pretty confident.
With Devin Singletary and Damien Pierce potentially just in the game, what's the level of confidence in Devin and his skill set? Do you feel like it's different styles if you do have Devin as the main back?
Yeah, if we don't have DP, like same as receivers, you know, that we talked about with Robert, you know, if we don't have DP, I still feel great about the guys we have, you know, the group we have with Boone, with Dare, with Motor, and even Dokes, who's on practice squad. Like, that whole crew, I mean, they're here for a reason. We really like what they do. Motor's one of the best. If you just say, hey, regardless of athleticism, like, who's just one of the best football players you have on the team, without a doubt, Devin Singletary is one of those guys.
Damn.
He does everything. He does.
Good Lord, I might need to hear that again. Goodness gracious. I didn't know it was like that.
Regardless of athleticism, like, who's just
like
one
that.
of the best football players you have on the team, without a doubt, Devin Singletary is one of those guys. You know, he does everything. He does everything really well. He does it very smooth and with the right mindset. He's aggressive in everything he does. He's confident. I think he's one of everyone's favorite people on the team for that reason. So we have the utmost confidence in really that whole group.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, it's not the first time in I mean, my history. It's the first time this year for us. It's not the first time. Like, it happened in San Francisco. It happened with Jimmy. It's happened with Brock. It's always something. You're always going to get something new. You know, they're always going to do a little something, not crazy, but they're going to do a little something to kind of change it up. And then for us, we just make some adjustments on our side and keep it moving.
But it was the first time this year.
As obvious as they did it. Yes.
Good? All right. Thanks, guys.
All right, there we go. Damn, he loves him some Devin Singletary. Okay. One of the best football players, huh? Okay. I see you. I see you there, Coach. I did not know it was like that, but okay. They got it. So appreciate everyone for rolling through. Just to reset, I do think it's time to start taking Will Levis serious. I would expect to see him 2 times in the final 10 games. Does that quite scare me? No. Am I more intrigued than I was before? Yes. Am I doing the Phil Simms interview yourself, where you ask yourself questions and answer them? You bet your ass I am. Also, got to be rooting for the Chargers this week. Got to be rooting for the Bills this week. Chargers, Bills. Texans, obviously. Supposed to be a lot of traffic before. I'll be tailgating. I think we're going Blue Lot this week. Not sure. Hit me up at Landry Locker. We'll be out there. Going to go up to the suite, go down to the locker room, and then we're going to have the post game. Another video coming out tomorrow. Probably have one Saturday as well. Blake Cashman joined the radio show, and it's Football Friday tomorrow. So life is effing great. Appreciate everyone for coming through. People going in on Bobby Slowick. Slowick, this bro is Delusional. Goodness gracious. We will see how this goes. No matter what happens when it comes to the Texans, though, always remember, we're all in this together. Appreciate y'all.
To the city too, landlocked, got the game in the headlock, localized every time, can't stop, won't stop. Yeah, we top 2 and we not too, plugged in daily digital on YouTube. We got taste for days, opinions to give, we got takeaways. If it's up, then it's up, we number 1. You don't need to try your luck. Locker room, yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk, yeah, you know what we about to do. Localize every angle's what we really do.